one we used first, the blue one, very familiar one for everyone, I guess, underneath. And this is the second one, which is the scaring water structure. But of course it's not scary, it's a solution. Given the topography of the area here, with the low-lying area behind the stadium, it's hard to fight against it. It's better to work with it. At first, in our group discussion, we had a kind of solution which is very Dutch. Why don't we cut off this whole river arm with a, let's say, to be opened dam? We did in Holland, so we cut it off, and then this will be, in the end, sweet water basin. But of course, the traffic here for the important ships is too important to cut this completely off. So then we went to look for this area, which is the St. Paul's area. And why not use the low-lying area to restore or to daylight, as we said before, the creek system. And this creek was called the Newton Creek, remember that. When you look in detail, of course you can say, oh, let's daylight the former creek system, but it's all built-up area. Some of the buildings will be renewed or torn apart, and then there will be a new area. For instance, in this St. Paul's Gardens area. And we took the opportunity to try to find room for a new creek system, which connects through an existing little creek and towards the Elizabeth River. Finding space is hard. Connecting those spaces is even harder, but more essential. Having a solitary pond or lake or whatever you make doesn't work. It should be connected, and it should, let's say, hydrate and dehydrate the whole area. So, and with the outcoming grounds, you maybe can put higher those areas which are supposed to be dry for the future. The whole system will be flexible. Salt water can come in, the rainwater can go out, and here there will be a kind of wetland around the stadium. At first we said we're going to build here a parking garage with a rooftop terrace for dining and maybe some water storage in the basement. But later on we decided to build it here, and it also goes for exactly the same housing development as Jaap was talking about. So in this wetlands area, a few urban villa-like high-rise buildings. This area is social housing, has a lot of problems. It's not very good housing anymore, so it needs to be renovated anyway. And maybe to make it into an island will generate a kind of pride, as the people here in Chesterfield Heights have for their area. It's their area, don't touch it, get away, it's brilliant, and we are proud of it. And that's what you want in the city. For connecting it to the river, we saw two possibilities: the existing creek end and maybe a new one along here. To think 3D is quite hard because this highway is on poles for the majority of length here. So you have freedom to do whatever you want, more or less, there underneath. But of course, it's all, if you make such a lot of water into the city, you have to consider that it shouldn't be an obstruction, so there should be connectivity for cycling, for walking. And to encourage that is necessary, because lots of those spaces are now those immense car parks, underused car parks. What we furthermore thought about was the connectivity of this route towards Chesterfield Heights. The other groups did too. And we also discovered that it was hard to reach the coast in this area, having these companies generating jobs for people. Let me see. We draw, oh yeah, this one, this part here of this route could be a floating boardwalk, the floating trail, and maybe we call it the Blueway. And we draw some sections, cross sections here and here. If you want to have a look later on, do. And talking about who is going to generate money, and who is to generate energy for such a plan, who will be responsible, who will be paying. So we talked about that a lot at the end, because I want to make sure it will be carried out, of course. And we found out that the local community will be very important. So people who live there, and maybe you can face it. You can carry out maybe this circle or only this part, and try to make it work, and then carry out the next phase. Phasing is very important, but you have to carry out the first phase, which will probably be the most successful. Otherwise, yeah, you will lose your supporters. For this wetland area, there is funding from the federal government. For the rest, it should be by development in housing or in other functions. So you have to generate money for your plan. And we hope that with this Greek structure inside Norfolk, it will, let's say, generate value towards the area. Not that we want to kick out people out of their affordable houses, so it's a balance between having quality, but not the sky-high rising of the house prices like in San Francisco or even in Amsterdam. Did I forget anything?